All right. Welcome to another episode of Adding Perspective with Josh. I'm Josh.
I'm Coach Nrgy.
I'm Aphrodite.
And I'm Yanni.
Special guest time. I know. Yeah. This is gonna get real. It is. We're gonna talk about how to spice it up tonight. I know, right? We're gonna talk about how to spice up your love life. This is gonna be one people gonna want to tune into. Okay, it is. It is. I'm tuning in right now. So
Me too.
tune in.
Right.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I ain't ready. Okay.
See, I forgot the wine.
I just brought some tea. Don't worry.
Okay.
I just brought some of that. Sweet tea too.
Yanni got all the tea. Yanni got the tea for us tonight.
So how we're gonna kind of start it off. So we're gonna talk about like some of the reasons why, a relationship would, essentially go stagnant when it comes to like the sex, the intimacy in relationships. And just to kind of start that off, I think that, it gets a little bit stagnant sometimes when, outside factors like work and children, come into play and get involved in that. And for the life of me, and this is something that's just a weird observation, how people allow their kids to sleep in the bed with them for an extended period of time, and I mean extended period of time, like you started off when the kid was like 6 months, but now the kid 10, and he's still sleeping in the bed and stuff like that, and he turning the TV and things like that. Okay, that kid is way too old to be in the bed. I need you to know that, okay? Like, he shouldn't have his own drawer in your room. He shouldn't have his own toothbrush. Like, he shouldn't have his slippers next to your bed. Like, it's just...
That's too much.
It's too much. You done crossed the line, okay? You done crossed the line, okay? Shouldn't have 2 alarm clocks in there, one for him and one for y'all. No. Shouldn't have that. No. But I think that that's one of those things where sometimes I think that it can allow the relationship to become stagnant because you don't have any privacy, like you don't have any space.
That's not stagnant. That's like a complete halt. That's shut it down. You talk about, what's that, cock blocking? That's exactly what that is. It's like, wait a minute.
To the most extreme form. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is. That's the quickest way to turn off an erection. Oh, my bad. It is.
It is. It is.
It is. Hey, having your kids ask for juice while you trying to do something is not good. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, I definitely think boundaries need to be set early on. But again, you know me, Josh, I'm a big fan of communication, and those are the things we need to talk about. And, the baby gets into bed because somebody's tired. That means somebody's not helping out. That means somebody's not doing their portion of the intimacy as in bringing up this child and getting up and changing Pampers. So that's how the baby gets into bed. And then the baby doesn't leave. And then somewhere in that, the cuddling happens with the baby. And it's like, that's not no enough. And I said that just like that. That's not no enough.
On purpose.
It's not no enough.
She said, okay?
So what else, right? Like, what else are some other components of why a love life would be stagnant?
So you can also add in there especially when you start getting up in age, but health issues. There are some relationships where it's just not
as hard as it should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, the diets right now, like I do a lot of research in what it is that I do. And I've been noticing like a lot of the younger people, between drinking and drugging and crab legs, they're just not staying as erect as they used to be or can be because the diet doesn't call for it. And so you have a lot of people on different medications at younger ages now that's also causing erectile dysfunction. Like, that's a very serious thing.
Yep.
So now we have, whiskey penis in the bedroom and it's just not working. And everybody's kind of pretending that it's exciting and it's not.
Diet is definitely one.
Absolutely.
Age is definitely one. Yeah. I think sometimes people undersell the value of fitness too, you know, like staying fit, like physically active, especially men, because as we get older, our libido and all the areas that allow us to function well go in the toilet. Pretty much, they go down, right? They don't go up; they go down. And
They also don't. They also don't talk about, like, you know, women have multiple sexual primes, and he got that one in his 20s, and his 30s maybe, and then it just kind of starts declining. And she's like, okay, well, when we going? So again, for me, it always goes back to conversation. Like, can we talk about it? Can we have a conversation about expectations and sex expectations at that? Like, okay, we get married. How many times a week do you want me to cook? How many times a week do you plan on having sex? How many kids do you want? What religion do you practice? See how we just having general conversation about our well-being and our longevity in our relationship? Like, I get it. Some stuff may happen down the line, but going into it, you need to know that I have a large sexual appetite and I'm going to want it at least 4 nights a week.
Yes. Got to talk about it. You have to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that 4 nights a week though. Okay, that might have to go down 2.5, 2.25. Oh, my bad.
Well, see, again, that's sex and intimacy. Two different things.
That's compromise though. That's what people have to understand too.
Depends on how you know. Compromise would be compromise would be, okay, well, we won't do penetration 4 nights a week, but we'll do oral 2 nights a week, penetration 2 nights a week, and then see how that goes for both of us. Because I think a lot of people underestimate fingers, tongues, toes, gadgets, and we're not bringing the full selves into this thing. So yeah, you're missing out on a lot by saying, okay, I could give you 2 nights. No, you can give me 4 nights, maybe 3 minutes, but that ain't the compromise with 2 nights.
No, you made a valid point. You're right. Like, there's always different options there to kind of get, I guess, the individual's needs met to where they don't feel like they've been deprived.
Absolutely.
Of something. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that sometimes whenever a relationship gets stagnant in that area, people think that they can't, they feel like the options are limited to fix it. And it's so many different things that a person could actually like do or try or just look up. And I think that part of that is just people being open-minded too. Like being open-minded about options.
And open-minded about their options. You know, I'm a fan of, your bucket list, your sexual bucket list. I'm a fan of having that conversation with your partner. And I'm talking old school. You remember, I'm telling my age, y'all look kind of young, so I don't know. But the old school spelling sheets was like a little sheet of paper and you put your little bucket list sexual fantasies down on a piece of paper and then you slide them to your partner. And you be like, hey, this is what I got on my list. Let me see what you have on yours. And granted, yeah, you may not do 7 out of 10 of the things, but them 3 though, can we talk about it? How you want to do it? And then that's going to spice up the relationship. And it's also going to open the door to the communication, because what I know about couples is there are times where it's like somewhere in the process of saying I do and being married. Now, mind you, they were swinging from the chandeliers while they were dating. Right. But somewhere between I do and the kids, oh, my wife don't do oral. I don't look at my wife that way no more. Or he can't come home in no Timberlands and a wife beater on because that's just not how I see my husband. Really? What you all do in your bedroom is between you and your partner. And I think we forget a lot of that sometimes. So that's why I think the bucket list is a great conversation starter, because it gets things going. Plus, you change as you get older. Your needs change. Your wants change. Especially if you've never had an orgasm, and that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
We can set aside 10, 15 minutes for that.
There are a lot of people, especially women, that have never had orgasms. They got 3, 4, 5 kids. Yeah, I know. Houseway. I don't know.
Hey, I've heard of that. Yeah,
it is very much a thing. So that's why having conversations. I'm big on communication. I'm big on what you like, how you like it, when you like it. I think it's important because it set up the expectation of not being disappointed. And there are so many people that are in love with people that they don't even like sexually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have those people that I guess have that old school mentality that think that, sex should be this way and it should always be this way. Like whatever that position is or whatever that thing is, they think that, okay, this should be good, right? Like this.
But that's not who they cheat with.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not who they cheat with. So why not have that in your house? Look, I'm giving it to you like you meet me at the club and I'm somebody completely different. I'm dressed up. You got to find me. You got to figure out who I am. And then we're going to go home and handle some things. That's adding spontaneity and spice into the relationship. But again, it's about how open your mind is.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right about that. So I think that people actually think that there's barriers to actually getting that kind of stuff done too, which is like the spontaneity of it. Like there's always that, that excuse for, why we can't be this way or why we can't, achieve these goals that we have from a sexual standpoint. Like there's always something, right? Like I think that's just life, is that, if there's a will, there's a way, like, hey, if you want this done, you'll make time for it. Like, especially if you talk about improving certain areas of your relationship, and that area right there is, I think that it's been for some people taboo to talk about, kind of off the table to talk about, because some people may feel a little bit, I guess, insecure about, their performance and stuff. Some people they don't want to have a large conversation in front of people about that.
Those are the people who really need to talk about it so the proper expectations can be set.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer you're only as good as your last lay. So if you are with somebody and they told you were great and they never told you the stuff you was doing was whack, or that it didn't work for them, or that it didn't work for them and probably nobody else, then you're doing your partner a disservice. I think, we should hype them up or let them know, well, that was great what you did, but I think you can improve upon by doing X, Y, and Z. The bottom line is we're really not having real, genuine conversations about what we want, even if we don't know what we want.
Yeah, I think there's a time and place for those types of conversations too.
Friday night at a fish fry.
Hey, there you go, or something like that. Don't have it after. Don't have it afterwards. I tell you that.
I'm just saying. It's like, well, why we gotta have like a special time for to have this conversation?
I don't think you should have that conversation after you get done, and then just go down a summary of what went good, what went bad, what do we need improvement on.
It depends. I mean, I think if you close enough, yeah. Well, that was what was the name of that movie? It's not He's Not That Into. It was some movie where they literally went through right afterwards, like, oh, that was great, but I like it if it was a cool movie because they were able to just critique each other, even though they were just, I think it was friends with benefits. Yeah. They were able to critique each other during the actual act, and it got better. But again, for some, it depends on the ego of the person. If your ego is fragile, you're not going to be able to do that. But if it's not, yeah, we could definitely talk about it. Let's go for round 2 with the improvements that we got. Yeah. But it's the mindset.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's the majority of the thing. You have to know your partner. Like, you have to know how they may take information like that, because that's a sensitive type of information. And some people's, especially the male ego, is probably not great at hearing that kind of stuff. Like, especially afterwards. Nah, probably not, right? Like, at least wait an hour or so after you don't just drop that on somebody. No.
It's so silly.
No, don't do that.
But I agree. I mean, dinner is great to have those conversations. Not the, hey, baby, can we talk? That's not the good time either. But just casually bringing it up. Yeah, that's a great time.
Yeah, it is. And I think the biggest thing about that, too, is not to beat around the bush with it per se, or not try to talk about that.
Well, beating around the bush.
I mean,
okay, not that bush. Go on.
No pun intended.
Hey. I mean, some people like it smooth. Okay, so I'm not sure about the bush. So I mean, some people like. Okay, but like I said, it's a little different right there when you talk about that conversation. Because if you want
preference.
Hey, it is preference, and then also people that try to avoid that conversation by, I guess, creating their own solutions too. Because some people, and it may not be all women, but some people avoid the conversation with their partners because they don't want to cause conflict. So instead of causing conflict, they try to solve the problem themselves by, Amazon or, any of these other toy websites or something like that. And they put it under the guise of, okay, I just want to improve certain things, but what they really need to improve is their communication with their partner. Like that's what they need to really improve instead of buying things like that. Because it'll be one thing if the couple decides to, add, new stuff to the bedroom. But I think that those kind of decisions need to be left as a group, decision. But that's just my opinion, Yeah. No, I hear crickets. I guess that's not a group decision, right? Like you don't want to. That's not a group thing. Like
I mean, again, for me, it's about that communication. I think that would be a great date night idea. You don't have to buy, but it's definitely a great date night idea to go and see. Go and see what's all out there so you can be wowed, like, wow. And then come home and have a conversation about it. Like, did you like any of that stuff? Should we turn on our own video camera and, shoot us in our own porn video as opposed to getting those things? Like, to me, though, that's just a great way to open up the door. Because if you don't ever open up the door, how do you know what's behind it or on the other side of it? Or what it is that you're capable of trying?
Right.
I'm gonna live with it.
So yeah, do a date night at the toy store. Again, you don't have to buy anything. Just go see what happens.
Hey, exploration and creativity is a good thing.
Absolutely. Okay? And who knows how hot you'll be by the time you get home. You know what I mean? Like it could be a turn on, but nobody wants to say it's a turn on, but everybody's ready to go by the time they get home. I have couples always ask me, well, what do you think about a threesome? I'm like, oh, well, that depends on what do you think about a threesome? So before we jump right into a threesome, why don't you go to a swingers club as voyeurs and watch live porn and see what that does for your relationship? So before we get to like the exaggeration of things, let's come back down to like the reality of things of what you can and can't handle. And that starts with the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Energy, your thoughts?
Because it's a lot of couples that's been it's a lot of couples that jump out there and go to the extreme, then realize they can't handle it.
And then trying to reel it back in is not fun.
Like they skipped all every step. They just went straight to 10.
And you just can't go to the club and pick up somebody these days. That's not what we're doing.
So yeah.
Hey,
I agree with you.
I'm with you too. These types of conversations, did you be going dark? Okay,
Why?
He just picking.
Okay.
I don't want to put you on blast. I don't. I'll just leave it alone. Because Energy is our person. We like to teach about like toys and stuff.
You don't like toys.
She don't get into the toy thing.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. If not, I just tease about it because it's funny.
But I'm not against people who do. It's just something that I don't like. But I'm not against it for whoever likes it.
Yeah.
See, I'm open-minded.
And it's funny because I sell them, but I rarely use them. But I think for a lot of people, it taps into knowing what your pleasure is and being able to express that with your partner.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's nothing wrong with a good instrument. I'll tell you that. Nothing wrong with that. Experimentation.
Instruments.
Hey, experimentation. People do, but that's another one of those things where, as you grow, right, as you grow up, that's not a handbook for that. Like there's not a manual to show you how to do that correctly or well, unless you like do additional training, education, reading, things of that nature. Like there's not a manual that people give you there. Like, of course, they got the sex ed thing whenever you get like, high school, whatever. But after that, you just learning as you go. Pretty much.
That's true.
That's all it is. And once you get into relationships, then you really learning as you go. At that point, because basically your information is going to be based on what you see and what the other person tells you. That's it. Yeah.
Your experience and having an open mind to explore.
Yeah.
In that experience.
And knowing that what you did with the one before might not work with the one after, okay?
Please and thank you. And I think
have an open mind when you go to the one after to know that they might not like or they might not do everything the first one did.
And just for the record, in case any men are watching this, every woman that I know and every woman that I've yet to meet, we all hate this. Please stop it.
Please.
Don't do it. Just don't. We don't know what y'all rubbing out. We don't really care, but just don't do that.
Please.
Don't do it.
This has been a public service.
That's what that is.
This has been a public service announcement. Don't do this. Don't do it.
Every woman hate it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's terrible.
Again, this is just one of those bad habits that people pick up. That's all it is. Okay,
but it's a lot of men with that habit.
They got the same memo. You know what I'm saying? Like they got the same message in the meeting. It was like, hey, we did this before time. Took a roll.
What are y'all rubbing out?
Took a roll and everything, right? Like we just voted on this. Hey, this is the new thing.
And I think, and I'm not being funny, but it's like, I think if men just took an anatomy class and understood that those 8,000 nerve endings that they trying to rub out all at once would be much better suited by simply asking her, do you like a swirl, a twirl, a figure eight, a tongue, a suck, a lick? See how easy that is? Multiple choice. Which one do you like? She could ask the same of him. Do you like a figure eight? Do you like tongue flicks? Do you like teeth? It's so easy to have that conversation.
No teeth.
No teeth.
I had a flash. I'm sorry.
See, and I'm just going to say, as the relationship intimacy educator that I am, don't ever say never to teeth unless you've had teeth.
Hey.
In a way that's pleasurable.
Teeth are sharp. That's all I can say. And the skin is sensitive. This.
Did you see Yanni? Yanni say, Yanni say you better get somebody that can do it right.
You ever heard that term, beware of sharp objects? You ever heard of that? Okay,
and that's okay. All I'm saying is, until you've had it done.
I got you.
Yeah.
The right way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because Yanni said, is it the swirl? What is it?
The figure eight. Like what's happening here?
What we got?
And you see how easy we're having this conversation? It's just that easy to have it with your partner. And I'm being real transparent right now. Just be sitting there naked one day and say, okay, babe, look at it. And because what I know is if you as a woman have never felt how wonderful you feel on the inside, it is extremely difficult for you to express to him how he should treat your wonderliciousness down there.
Right.
So when you know what it feels like, it's like, oh, it's squishy, it's plushy. Oh, you should understand that you just can't always beat that up. You should understand that sometimes you got to make love to it. And if you have a curve, then there are certain positions that's going to make her feel better. And if you don't ever take the time to engage in that, you're going to miss it every time. And it's a great, wonderful moment for her to have that one tear falling, pillow biting moment if he just took the time. Because 98% of the time, he's going to have his orgasm. Most of the time, she's laying in a wet spot she didn't help to create.
And that spot get cold.
Quick.
But here, put that towel down first. Okay? Put that towel down.
That is funny.
Yeah, me sleep in a wet spot. Okay. I'm just saying, okay? Good.
I'm sorry, Josh. Did you get to any other questions that you had?
I'm sprinkling them in, okay? I'm getting them in here, okay? Dude, I'm sprinkling them in. We stayed on track, dang, okay?
Okay.
Dude.
We ain't going left today. We ain't going left. We gonna stay on track.
Nah. We in the pocket right now, okay? We lock it in right now, okay? I like where this is going. I do, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't
Good
open
conversation.
it up. We didn't open it up to orgasm and stuff like that. Don't do this stuff. Nah, we in there now, okay? Like, yeah, we're gonna take a vote on how many people out just know what a G spot is. Find that thing.
And know your woman, because some G spots move. Some G spots are clitoral. Some G spots are vaginal. And ask your man if he's open to having his P spot tapped. Again, real conversations about what pleasure is to you. And if you don't know what that is, are you open to experimenting with it to find out what you like and what you don't like?
So for those that may not know what you call it, a P spot?
A P spot, yes.
Okay, for those who might not know what a P spot is, please explain it to them.
It is the prostate. It is tapping the prostate, which is equivalent to her G spot. Okay. And if you tap it accordingly, or if you tap it enough to bring it to full orgasm, it's equivalent to squirting for a woman, that type of orgasm for a man. Okay. But most men aren't willing to go there because it involves some anal penetration that they're not really willing to go through. Okay. The P spot is the prostate. Understood.
I figured she was going to ask that question because I seen her mouth. She was like, you need to ask that question. Okay, I need to.
You said what?
I said, I figured you was going to ask that because I knew you was going to ask that question as soon as she said it.
Well, I mean, because people need to know. Like, they do. Like, what is a P spot? And then, she put it out there. So, this is educational. This is our perspective, and they need to be educated.
Hey,
I'm not mad at that.
Hey, I'm with you on that, shoot. I feel like we all getting some out of it. I'm telling you, okay? Like,
because even with the G-spot conversation, like, she said sometimes the G-spot move. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't know that.
Yeah, and it's like, how you tell a guy, you're right there, don't move. That means you're in the rhythm, you're in the flow of getting her to her orgasm. And that's those 8,000 nerves that I was talking about. But the moment you slip up or you lose the rhythm with her rhythm, now she has to start all over again. And a lot of men don't understand that because their flow is different. Their flow is friction based. Our flow is friction based too, but it's a rhythm friction. Even with men, theirs is rhythm too. But if you throw hers off, she has to start over. You throw his off, he just get right back in the groove of things. So when we say don't move, don't move. Don't move and don't stop doing what you're doing.
Just keep it up, okay?
That part.
Don't change it. Don't try to do nothing extra.
Don't try to adjust to get a better position. If you got a cramp, you better hold on to it.
Let that Charlie horse come.
Yes.
I'll rub it out later.
Please and thank you.
Right.
Dude, it take a lot of work to get there.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. And I will say this, if women are not multi-orgasmic and only can have the orgasm when she's on top, that means she's a control freak. meaning she wants to control the outcome and she only enjoys the big one as opposed to the little ones that she could have if she just let go. And the little ones can come on top, on the bottom, in the closet while y'all playing hide and go seek with them kids that y'all trying to get rid of. Those things.
Yeah.
Why am I telling you to play hide and go seek with the kids? Because sometimes you can't get rid of them and you can hide better than them. And the thing is, y'all hide wherever y'all gonna hide at and you get a quickie in. But the fun part about that is you got to come out looking like you did before you went in. And you got to cover them out. So it's almost like you sneaking. And that in itself is an adrenaline rush.
It is.
And then you come out like ain't nothing ever happened, but you know what y'all did.
Yeah. Just make sure your clothes are on the right side.
You ain't who taking off clothes. This is a quickie. This is a lift up.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's a lift up, move to the side, let's go. What are you talking about? We ain't talking about no clothes.
Hey, just want to make sure, okay? If anything fall off, make sure you put it on the same way. That's all I can tell you.
That's it.
Put it on that same way.
We sneaking I don't snuck to the office, and then I'm coming back out the office like what? You don't even know.
Hey, you right. There's nothing wrong with that. But your kids know when you disheveled. Okay, they know that hair just they know what you've been doing to them. Mom and daddy been in there, been knocking them boots. Okay, like they been in there. Okay, true.
We was tussling.
That's it.
You go in our room, put our earmuffs on. Okay, they in there doing stuff.
She just said cover the mouth, so she gotta learn how to do it quiet.
Okay, so some people, hey, when they into that mode, it's hard to be quiet. It's hard to be quiet. Nah, dang it. But I think we talked about this a little bit too in this conversation where we talked about, I guess, resources, some of the things couples can kind of do to kind of improve their sex life. I think we talked a little bit about that initially, about like the visiting the sexual stores.
I'm a fan of the scavenger hunt. This is something that I've coined, and that's kind of where you have an evening of exploration, if you will. And it's a nonverbal exercise. You can put out things like chocolate, honey, warming oils, ice, and you can have your partner pick their pleasure for the evening. And the only way your partner can let you know that they're aroused is by moaning. That's a great way to explore the erogenous zones that maybe she didn't know she had or he didn't know he had. And the only way you can say that you're enjoying yourself is through moaning. If you're not moaning, then your partner's not in the right spot. That's a great way for them to figure out what you like, how you like it without saying, I want you to lick my neck or something. You know what I mean? It's a great way for them to, because most people are visual. And you retain more information when you're visually exploring as opposed to somebody telling you something repeatedly.
Yeah, and sometimes speaking or telling it to the partner repeatedly can turn you off.
Exactly. So I think that's a fun way to do it. You create a dope playlist. You got the room set up. You didn't kick the kids out, and now you're playing with each other, and not necessarily playing for orgasm, but playing for pleasure.
Good idea.
Now, if the other stuff happens, great, but that's not the goal.
Yeah. What about those? What they got? They got those fun little sexual card games and dice and stuff out there too. You think those work?
Absolutely, yes. And because women do a lot of talking, and we like to process the whole day. Do that with your girlfriends. Men, if they're not that kind of person, what you want to do for him is you just want to roll the dice as soon as he walked through the door. No conversations need to be had. Just roll the dice. Whatever they laying on, take them to the shower. That's the position y'all do for the night. That's a great way. No conversations had. Because sometimes we don't need to talk. We just need to express ourselves in that way. Then we can talk after. Because sometimes you do all the talking and then you don't get to the other part. Sometimes you just need to do the dessert first. And then doing the dessert first, now we can do the appetizers and other stuff later.
I agree with that.
You can leave a trail of underwear, shoes, all that on the way up the stairs. He come in the door like, ooh. Now don't have the laundry weight like I've seen in the videos for him to fold when he get upstairs, but actually have something fun. And he can do the same thing. I also have 12 date night ideas, which I think is super great because you could throw them in a bag, a box. I don't care what you put them in, but you put in 12 things that he wants to do, 12 things that she wants to do, throw them in a box. And then when you all have your date night, whether it's once a month, every 2 weeks, or every 3 weeks, somebody pulls the date night. You take turns. Whoever pulls it has to plan it. Cool thing about that is you're planning some stuff that's taking you out of your box. She's planning some stuff that's taking her out of her box, but you're doing stuff that you may or may not like until you try it. So that's a great way to kind of open up new experiences. Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
So what would be one of the things, I'm just, for a couple, or some of the things you all would have a perspective on for couples that have really been through like a tough time in their relationship, and they really don't know how to get back to the intimacy because it's been so much strife and issues in the relationship?
I'll let you guys go first before I share mine.
I think getting back to physical intimacy is not difficult, but I think that in order to have physical intimacy with someone, you have to like the person. You know, like you have to actually be friends like with the person in order to actually engage in that. And I think that that's the biggest thing for like most women is that you have to have a connection with that person, especially if you're married to them or you're in a relationship with them. You have to feel some kind of physical, emotional connection with that person in order to kind of get to a point where you can be comfortable enough to enjoy yourself with that person. So I think, honestly, I just think that just start with conversation and working on a friendship, and then building your way up to physical intimacy is the best thing for a person to do.
That's where my response is more geared, is to take care of either the mind or the heart of your partner. And if both people take care of whatever is hurt, whether it be their mind or their heart that has been hurt, betrayed, disrespected, whatever it is throughout the relationship that got them to that point of strife, that has to be fixed first, in my opinion, before true intimacy and lovemaking and everything else, the physical can really get back to its prime piece or peak, because it's going to always be there in that person's mind or their heart or in their thoughts, as far as like whatever may have happened, whatever is hurting them, whatever they're not, they don't have clarity on if there was something that was going on, because a lot of people in relationships, one person may tend to brush a lot of stuff under the rug, and the other partner is like, but I need to talk about this. And until they can actually start discussing something, or until they can actually start working on whatever the issues are, the intimacy will just continue to lack. So for me, and it really goes back to what Yanni has been saying all day, communication. You have to talk about what the issues are in order to be able to heal that part of the relationship itself. And then the physical will start to build up. Once that has happened, then take it back to the beginning. What was the first thing, or back at the beginning of your relationship, what were y'all doing then that was so spicy? What were you doing then that excited both of you? Take it back to the basics sometimes and just start over and then rebuild from there.
I like that. Were you going to go, Aphrodite?
No, go ahead.
I would do a dance class. Ballroom dance specifically. And I know why I do ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing is hard. It's hard for a number of reasons. One, she has to allow him to lead in the dance. She has to trust him to support her frame, her body, and her weight in the dance. He has to become confident enough to do so. And then he has to understand where she is in the dance in order to make them look absolutely flawless. Now, what does that have to do with a relationship? It has everything to do with a relationship, because that's building the foundation of communication. That's building trust. That's building, I need to let him lead when I've had to lead for so long. It's all the little nuances that a lot of relationships miss because the roles haven't been discussed. And in ballroom dancing, the roles are clearly defined. She's not lifting him up, he's lifting her up, but he got to be secure in his frame in order to be able to lift her up. They have to communicate. They have to understand weight shifts, things that actually happens in actual relationships. So I would say discuss a ballroom dance. Do a ballroom dance class, because now it's pushing you to the limits, but it's also forcing you to communicate, and it's also forcing you to connect. And then once you see how you look on that dance floor, now the sexual energy is going to start, because now you get the hips swiveling and things of that nature. So to me, it's like it's a one-on-one where you're just opening things up to just, one, explore some things, two, you're dressing up, three, you're sexy. But before you can even get to that part, there's that building, there's that foundation, there's those steps that you have to put in place first.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. That's an interesting twist on rebuilding physical intimacy. It is.
Mm-hmm. It's trust, especially, like dropping her or him falling on a turn. That's equivalent to cheating, if you will. So now in order for me to get you back up in the air again, I got to trust that you're not going to let me fall. I got to trust that you got me. Even with the dance, if he's not in the right place for her in her turn and he has to catch her, and if she's not at the right place, then why were you late? You know what I mean? Like it seems as simple as a dance, but it's so much more. I did a whole paper on that when I was in college on how it relates to relationships and how it connects, because it absolutely does.
Yeah.
And then now you're building a partnership. And can't just anybody come into y'all partnership, because they don't understand, if I'm on the 1 and she's on the 2, somebody coming in on a 3 or 4, they don't fit.
I like that.
Dude, even from the male perspective, the example that you're using, that it's very powerful as well, because dancing, especially ballroom style dancing, that requires a man to be very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's hard to get a man in that place, or that space. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like that.
Yeah, me too. So on that note, a great way to end this episode. Right. So another episode of Adding Perspective with Josh. I'm Josh.
Coach Nrgy.
I'm Aphrodite.
I so enjoyed hanging out with y'all.
Same here.
That's Miss Yanni, baby.
Mm-hmm. And we out. There we go.